Good afternoon, traders. Welcome to this week's Elliott Wave Forex and Cryptocurrency Market Analysis webinar. I hope you all had a wonderful week. We had a great week. It looks like Christmas came early. We saw the pound moves rallying, the pound rallying last week, Thursday. So last week's theme was how the interbank market works. And I explained, showing you examples of exactly how they move the market and how you should be thinking as a trader. So you should not be thinking like any normal retail trader. You should think like how the interbank market, like the people that move the market. Now this week, as you'll see on the thumbnail of the video, we're looking at fundamentals versus technicals. Which one works? Which one do we prefer? Obviously, I'm already biased because I'm using the Elliott Wave theory, which is price action, but I'm going to explain to you exactly what I think about the fundamentals as well as technical trading. Okay, so technical trading specifically referring to the Elliott Wave theory. Now, all my bases are on obviously the wave principle by Aaron Elliott, and I'll be quoting some of the parts of his Masterworks book just to explain the fundamentals and the technicals. Right, so but before we get started, we're gonna go through the trade recaps and we'll show you exactly how we traded the fundamentals last week, Thursday. That is when the pound pairs were rallying. So now let's have a look at the recap from last week. Now, I've compiled all the trades that we were looking at here, and you'll see how that exactly happened. This will explain my view on fundamentals versus technicals. Now, let's look at the trades that we looked at last week in our group. So this was pound chief. Now, incidentally, I was looking at this analysis about 2 hours before the pound rally. As you can see, I was looking at this as a three-wave move to the downside and expecting the move to the upside. Okay, so this is, let me just check which pair this is here. So this is pound chief, right? Now, with pound chief, we've been expecting a move to the upside, looking at this as a running flat here. And then here we got an opportunity to enter. I didn't know that there was going to be news in the hour or two after I posted this in our group, because I was looking at the pound pairs and they were just looking really interesting. All the confirmations on our indicators were saying trade buy to the upside. Now let's run through all these pound pairs that we traded last week just before the news, and you can see here this is pound chief before, and then just about an hour later this is what happened. It pushed up higher like that, just like that. Okay, now this is pound over 200 pips, 300 pips in just a matter of hours. Now the next one here you'll see was a pound yen. Now pound yen, this was not just before the news. I'll show you the one that was set up before the news. This was the second week of first week of November when we were looking at this trade, looking for it to go to the upside up to this level. Now the next one, you'll see another setup there as we go on. So that was another setup. So the first one was here, just to remind you where the arrow was. It was here looking at around this area. Now it didn't go all the way like that. What it did is it made a pullback first. So when it made the pullback, that's when we started looking at this trade here and to the upside. Now look how this continues to the upside. The next move there, you'll see this is the trade that we took live in our group during the daily webinar. Confirmed. I said all the indicators have confirmed we can take this trade. This trade was painless. It just kept going. Now this was the next one. This was the update as it was playing out. Obviously it made this pullback. We'll talk about this pullback just now and the next one. Now after it made the pullback, now this is an hour before the Brexit news. Look what happened. Look what happened next just after that. I was not even aware of the news, guys. I was not even aware of the news. 420 pips in just a matter of hours. Quick pips. Now this was a pound US dollar. Now also this was set up at the same time as pound yen a couple of weeks back. We were looking for this to go all the way to the upside. Now you can see the next setup here. This is the first move that reached its target here. You'll see the next setup. I'll show you the one that I showed just before the news event last week, Thursday. We see an expanding flat. We know that the trend is to the upside. This was the expectation. What happened after that? Look at this. Painless trades, 300 pips. Okay, that was pound US dollar. Now, pound New Zealand, I have been saying trade of the week for the last 3 weeks or so. Now, when we did the update, I said, look out for pound New Zealand. It could give you one more down and then upside. Now, look what happened on pound New Zealand. Pound New Zealand gave you one more down, gave you an impulse, gave you an expanding flat. The expanding flat I saw just before the webinar, just before the news event on Thursday. Look what happened. We eventually reached the target there on pound New Zealand. And these are the pound pairs based on what the news was doing, what the news was released on Thursday. And we got all of this, focused all of that. Now, by now, this should be answering your question, what I think about fundamentals versus technicals. Okay, so let's just, I don't think we're done yet. Let's just look at the rest of the recaps. So this is pound New Zealand. The next one was pound CHF, but this was not based on the news. So these are just the other trades that we've been looking at previously. You see this is pound CHF. There was a setup looking for it to break after this 3-wave corrective structure there. And eventually this has actually made its move to the upside. It made this move here, it made this move here. We expected it to go down here and then push to the upside. Look how then it plays out. There we go. And this is how wave theory, before you knew that this was going to reverse, we had forecasted that as it was going down from here. We knew that it was going to come here and then it was going to push higher. Now, this is pound CHF, Audi New Zealand, Audi yen, sorry. Now, let's talk about the yen pairs. So the yen pairs last week, I said you saw the move on gold. I said it does not matter what the structure looks like. Just go and expect the yen pairs to go to the upside because they still need to react to the gold move. And guess what happened? You guys are traders, you've already seen what these moves were like last week. Okay, so that was the yen, that was Audi yen forecasted to the upside as it has gone. Now, the next one was New Zealand yen. Also, just based, because we knew that gold had made a move to the downside, I was expecting the yen pairs to push higher. What happened with this one? Exactly that. Okay, so this is now correlation. Now this is CAD yen. CAD yen, what did we say about the yen pairs? We said exactly the same thing, that they were going to push higher based on the gold moves. Now pulse correction, what happens? A move to the upside. All painless trades. Okay, now this was euro a couple of weeks back. We focused on the move to the upside and then I was going to go that higher. Now look how that played out. This was the update as it was going higher and eventually reaching target. So it went up, made a correction and then pushed and crashed the target. There was a euro yen. All right, so this is now gold. Gold, this was last week. We still wanted to break. So last week, gold, we picked it up here, but now we know that this has now made this move to the upside here. We're gonna update that. Okay, so this was gold. This is the latest update on gold. Euro New Zealand, this was the trade we took from here, and then you can see what happened afterwards. This is euro. Sorry, this is silver. There was no update on Euro New Zealand. I should be on another page there. Okay, so this is silver. Focused it on the daily when it was still here. We've broken down here. Let's look at the rest. This is now where silver is, and this is where we're looking silver to go now. We want it to come down here. For now, we've made this move. It looks like silver is going to do this, and then we're going to drop. That we're going to update during the market update. Okay, so this was Euro New Zealand. Now this is the actual one that I was looking for, and this is how Euro New Zealand has played out. As you can see, it dropped from exactly where we wanted it to drop. CAD yen, these are old ones. Now this was also taken just before the CAD interest decision in October, the last week of October. I'm just going to run through quickly these ones because this will explain the fundamental versus technical view that I have about this. So CAD, you can see there was a correction and then it broke down as expected. just after the news. The news propelled this to the downside, but the statement that I'm using saying the news propelled that to the downside is not quite correct, and I'm going to explain why I'm saying it's not correct. The news do not move the charts. Okay, EURCHF before the news, EURCHF after the news. Painless, right to the tip. US dollar CAD just before the news, EURCHF after the news. US dollar CAD after the news, rather, sorry. Okay, so these are all the trades that have been taken just before the news, the yen pairs that we've taken based on correlation, the pound pairs based on the Brexit news. Now, how does this relate to the Elliott Wave theory? Okay, so when the Elliott Wave principle was announced in the Financial World article, they actually used this statement in the Financial World publication magazine. They said there's a phenomenon in human activity that has been discovered, which may be observed most readily in stock market cycles. So this phenomenon, which is the wave principle, was based on human activity. So that means the market moves on based on the human behavior. Okay, so that is how this was introduced. Now, what does this mean in terms of the fundamentals that are in the and the technicals that I'm referring to? So since the beginning of time, there's been a rhythmic regularity that I've mentioned about last week in the law of creation. So this means that the universe follows a certain rule of law. Now, if the universe follows the certain rule of law, that is everything in life, including days, night and day, seasons of the year, they all have, I mean, the sun rises at a specific time of the day and sets at a specific time of the day, exactly the same way with patterns. Okay, so even the charts are not just random. They don't just appear randomly. They move with a specific law. So, and if you can understand and study this law, then you will be able to understand how the market moves. Okay, so now if I'm going to quote something from Masterworks, so let me just bring it up here so you can all see what Elliott's view is on fundamentals. Let me bring it up here. Let me bring it up here. So there's been a number of people that have studied the waves, in different type of waves, really, like Bell on sound waves, Edison with electrical waves, Marconi with radio waves. There's a whole lot of number of people. Now, the first person who studied the behavior of waves was Leonardo da Vinci. Okay, so now I want to get to a point where they talk about law-abiding rhythmic regularity, and that is on this page. So now gradually the wild, senseless, and apparently uncontrollable changes in prices from year to year, month to month, day to day, link themselves to a law-abiding rhythmic patterns of waves. So this is powerful, guys. So there is nothing that occurs randomly. So these patterns, as you can see, they can repeat themselves. So if they can repeat themselves over and over, that means you can go back in time and study their behavior in order to predict what is going to happen in the future. And that is what the wave principle gives us. Now, bearing all of this in mind, it is clear that the wave principle is a catalog of market data. So what is this? Where is this data coming from? So the data is coming from an accumulation of every happenings in the economy, in the political sphere, in everything, in whatever trade wars that may be going on in life. So that is all recorded in the price market data. So now what happens when there's big news events like the Brexit? Now you already have, I'm going to look at the chart now. You already have a chart like this. Let's go to the daily. You already have a chart. Let's go to pound US dollar because that's just one of the charts that was mostly affected. You already have a chart like this. You can already see what is going to happen here. So there's going to be news event being announced here. Your cycle is telling you it's going to go to the upside. So from here, not just from there. Now let's have a look here. So this correction started after Brexit. So this movement was because of the first announcement that Britain was going to leave the European Union. Now from there, there has been discussions about the Brexit, how it's going to happen and all the processes. So this has been an accumulation of all data related to Brexit. And all of that is forming this very clear pattern, which when I remove this here, you'll see very clearly. This pattern is a flat correction. Okay, now we forecasted that this was going to push higher from when it was down here, not even just, if I go to my Slack group here now, you will see that we forecasted that this was going to come down here and then push higher. Let me show you where that is on our Slack group. If we go to our Slack here now, you'll see that I've got a weekly forecast that was going to happen. Weeks back, months back, not just yet. So let's go look at pound US dollar. I'm going to wrap up now this and start with the market analysis, but this is very crucial for you to understand this webinars and what we look at when you look at the wave theory. Okay, so let's look at pound US dollar. This is pound US dollar. I'm going to look at one of the pin chart. I hope it is still there. So let's have a look at the pinned charts. There we go. You look at this chart. This was posted, let me see, July. Did I know in July that there was going to be news event last week Thursday? I didn't know. What did I know? What I could only forecast, this is a weekly, guys, was that we're going to have a move to the downside. We're going to have a push higher, and we're going to build this structure. Now, whatever has happened last week, it's a small impact on what is already transpiring in the bigger picture. So we're already expecting this move from here, that it was going to push higher, and last week was not different. So it does not matter what news event can come up here when the trend is going to the upside, because it has to, the wave has to play out. Now, a good example of how this works is when you understand the basics of the wave principle. Now, look at this one here. If you remember anything about your, from your physics, we've got a wave like this, and most of you will know that this is called a sine wave, right? So let's say this wave is like this. So if this is a cycle, this is a complete cycle up to this point, and the next cycle actually starts from here at the end of the next one. I'm just using a different color just for illustration purposes. Unfortunately, I've run out of space there, but in any case, you'll be able to see what I'm trying to see here. So here you've got a cycle. You know that this cycle is not complete, it's still going to the upside. Let us say, just for argument's sake, that when this news event was happening here, the cycle was somewhere around here. Okay? Just for explanation purposes, the cycle is here. This news event happening here. This is where we were last week Thursday. This cycle is not going to change its direction or shape just because there's an external effect. The cycle is going to continue as it would have been. Now, the only thing that you need to understand is which type of cycle you're in. What do I mean by that? Now, let's say there's different types of cycles. You can have the exact same cycle, but starting from this point here. Another type of wave is a cosine wave, which looks something like this. But a cosine wave is just a sine wave that just starts 90 degrees from this one. Now, let us say this one starts here. If this starts here, you've got exactly the cosine wave. Now, this cycle, like I said, is not going to change its structure based on what news event is going to come. This is energy, okay? So now we knew that the cycle was still to the upside. It's not complete yet. How do you learn, or how do you know which cycle it is? By looking at historical data. You need to understand, am I on the sine wave? Am I on the cosine wave? Am I on the secant wave, on the tangent wave, cotan wave? There are a number of waves. Okay, obviously that is not, we don't talk about, it's not necessarily all those waves in the market data like this. But you need to understand which cycle you're in. The word cycle have been used very loosely of late, not of late, from the beginning of time. So cycle means exactly this. Okay, so we can go on and on about this. I can give you hours and hours of information regarding the basics of the wave principles, but obviously this is only for market analysis and we do not have time to explain this, but this should explain to you why we should rather be looking at the technical charts rather than trying to guess where the news is going to be. Because when you listen to news anchors, they'll be like, it could go up, it could go down, and you don't want that kind of thing. I'm a trained engineer and I want something that with a specific formula. That is why we've got developed this specific formula that tells you when the market is ready, when the trade is ready to be taken. Okay, you don't speculate, you don't make a decision, you wait, you let the market tell you it is time. Now, let me just show you here one more time on this one here. I don't make any decision here other than understanding when the confirmations have played out. So when the pattern is here, I don't make a decision. Should I be going in or should I be not? The strategy itself tells me, the indicators tell me it is ready, you can take the trade. Okay, so that is how we trade now. Right, so we can get started with market analysis. If you're watching this for the first time, you can go through the description of the videos and you'll find the timestamps, which will be uploaded after a couple of hours after the video has been uploaded. Now, if you want to know more about our course, you can contact me as per my details that you'll see under the description of the videos. You can use my mobile number there. Just make note that this mobile number is going to change in a couple of weeks. In a couple of weeks, in a couple of weeks. And also, you can join. You can follow me on TradingView. Now, our next course is going to be on the 4th, from the 4th to the 14th of February. If you want to learn now, you can purchase the recorded version of the course. It's exactly the same course. You can get it immediately when you subscribe, and then you can then attend the live one in February. Okay, so that's how it works. So if you want to be busy this December watching the course, you can join us right away. Now, that is how we look at technicals and fundamentals. Now, let's go into the market analysis. There's something on the chat box. Okay, so let's get into the market analysis and we'll start with the cryptocurrencies. Now, the structures this week, guys, are very clear. As I said, Christmas came early and we will be, all the structures are very clear. There's so many setups that we're going to be looking at now. So let's look at Bitcoin. Watch as many pairs as possible because there's so many trade setups coming in the next couple of weeks. We've already started the rallies, so they should continue into the Christmas period. Now, so let's start with the cryptocurrencies. So the cryptocurrencies, we looked at all of them last week. Now, again, let's look at the Bitcoin structure on the daily. This I'll keep doing each week so you can get a view of what this looks like. So you've got here, you've got this expanding flat there and an expanding flat there. So it's 3 waves down, W, 3 waves up, X, 3 waves down, Y, 3 waves up, another X, and we're looking for a Z. Okay, so this is a move to the downside in 3 waves, move to the downside in 3 waves as well. So you see here, this is a 3-wave move. One, let me do this in straight lines. So my mouse is going skew. 1, 2, 3 in the lower degree. Let's take this one here. 1, 2, 3 in the lower degree as well. 1, 2, 3. I'm not going to do that one as well. So what are we looking for? We're looking for this one in the lower degree. So this one can do this, and then we'll complete our Z. So after the completion of this Z, that's when we're going to start expecting that Bitcoin starts coming back up. Okay, with this move here. Now, this is a clear 1, 2, 3, 4, 11 swing sequence. Now, what are we looking for? We're looking for this to come back up here and complete this structure here. The lower degree X here is actually an ABC structure there. ABC structure here. We've got an A here. You're looking for a B here, and then a C to complete the cycle. So we're still expecting further downside on Bitcoin. Okay, so the lower it goes, the more you accumulate because eventually this is going to push higher. Okay, so that is the structure on Bitcoin, and that is what we're expecting. We've got to move to the upside, we've got to move correction, and then this is looking to the upside. Okay, now if you look at the relationship of all of this, we looked at this correction in the last week. in the last year, rather, the last year, 2018, spent it on this correction. Eventually, beginning of 2019, we started making this structure to the upside. You can even make a case that these may even do that. Okay, not to zero, obviously. Not to zero, this is just a long-term forecast. So this could be your structure here. Could be your structure, come back down, and then eventually go to the upside. So these Bitcoin could be sideways for a number of years, guys, and this is only in the daily. Could be sideways for a number of years before we eventually go push higher. Okay, so obviously it does not move in a straight line like this. There could be a lot of patterns here happening here, but for now, let us focus on what we've got data to look at. Okay, so we've got enough data to tell us that we're going to have a move. The next move is going to be to the downside. Are we going to push up higher after that? So let's see. That is what we're going to be looking at here. Now you've got this structure here. Let's look at the 4 hour. I'm just going to look at this structure. You've got a pulsing move to the upside here like this. Let me use the yellow color. You've got a pulsing move up. Why is my mouse getting skew here? You've got a pulsing move up here, you've got a 3-wave back, and then we're going to be looking for this. And that's the structure on all the cryptocurrencies that we look at here. So let's go to the 4 hour. So for the rest, I'm also just going to look at the lower time frame. So let's look at the lower time frame on this. As you can see, I've detailed this corrective structure, not just these 3 waves here. So these 3 waves is not just going to do that or like that. So it can be a little bit more complex than that. You've got a move to the upside here. You've got a move down here. Now, after that move, we're going to use a different color. You had another move here in green. You had another move here in green. And then that same move came back down. It should actually be a different color. We'll use a different color just now. Let's not use green there. Let's use purple there. Okay, so with that one, we're going to use this purple coming down, purple going up, this one coming up here. So as I explained last week, we'll be expecting this move here to do that. Only then will the green be complete. So this small correction here, it may look like it's a number of moves, but it's only the 4 hours. So this one can complete quite quickly. Then when that is complete, then you got the red here. And only then can you have your yellow primary wave to go to the upside before we get the last move to the downside that we're looking for to make this A. Your B can be a very complex one, which is this whole move. So this B here looks like a diagonal, so we call this one an A, B in the lower degree. Let me use the smaller characters just to show it's a lower degree than that. So this is going to be an A, B. I should be using a different color. Okay, so internally there, you're also going to have an A, B, C in red, A, and your B there, and your C there. And so it goes on and on and on. So you're basically just looking for this corrective structure. Maybe you can benefit from this short move, from this bottom move, but I'm looking for the move when the correction starts. I mean, when the correction ends. So that is Bitcoin. Now you'll see that the rest of the cryptos are very straightforward. They've got a similar structure as well. So let's have a look at Ethereum. Ethereum as well, you've got a pulsing move. This one is a lot simpler because it's only one pulsing move, a correction, possible push to the upside, and then come down. Okay, so that is the structure that we're going to be looking for. So just note that this may even do this, and the structure can be a little bit more complex like that. So you've got this structure here, which is going to be also an A, B, and a C there. And then internally here, you'll have a W, X, and a Y. That is if this one becomes an impulse here. Okay, so that is what we're going to be looking at, a corrective structure. So you're just waiting for these corrective structures to build. So not real trade here. So last week we were here. I said we expect a move to the downside. I expected that Dells was just going to break to the low here and push higher. We're still expecting it to push higher this week. Now the move we'll be waiting for is for this structure to break out of this here, because that is the next move now to the upside. You want it to break higher. You want it to break higher like that and then come down here. So I've shown you the different ways in which this can play out. So I'm not telling you it could go up, it could go high. I'm telling you that it's going to make a correction, and this correction can take different forms. Okay, so even if this correction takes this form, up, down here, and then makes a regular flat, the expectation is still the same. That is that after the correction, it must go up and then come down. So these are not different alternatives. It's just two ways in which this can play out. In any case, I don't trade the correction. I trade when the move is the correction is completed. Right. So that is Ethereum. When looking at Ethereum, the next one is Litecoin. Similar structure, as you can see, they all have the same structure in the lower degree. So it's going to move up, we've got a correction. It's exactly the same as Ethereum. Only difference is that this one is giving us a possible regular flash. So the next move to look out for is for this to break out of the structure, and then we're going to be looking for this to come down. Right, so you could be looking for this move to the upside. If you get a nice setup here, you can take it, because you never know with cryptocurrencies if they can do this. But structurally, this is what we're expecting. And if they do this, the last move to the downside, we should get a bigger move to the upside. As we saw last week, the interbank market don't just move the market in a straight line. They go through wave patterns. Okay, so that is Litecoin, and Ripple will be the same. So Ripple, difference is that this is a move to the upside. You already have this 3-wave correction here, which should come back down here, take the low here. You get a move to the upside like the rest of the cryptos to do that, and then downside. See, all very clear structures. You just have to wait for these corrections to complete. You can take advantage of this one to the downside. You need to be careful, but when it starts going up here, it could really go with a big move. I'm not saying this is the ultimate reversal, but after the correction, you should get a significant move to the upside, which will focus the length and the size in the next week. All right, so those are the cryptocurrencies that we look at. Now let's look at the indices. The indices have been very simple, really. I've been saying just one thing with the indices: keep buying. That's all I've been saying from right at the bottom. Right, so not just at the bottom here, I've been saying buy the indices when we're still coming down with this move. Why was I saying we're looking to buy the indices? I remember in December of 2018, when this was coming down here, I was saying expect just a simple move to the downside here and then a push to the upside. So what I was actually looking for was this pattern. But I was not focusing on an expanding flat. I was thinking that this was going to be a regular flat. It's going to break, just touch the low and continue higher. Then it just breaks the low here, but it was still an expanding flat within the rules and the guidelines of an expanding flat. So there was no panic when this was coming down. We still expected that this move was going to go higher. Now, if you want to see this, go to a video. Just check the date here. It's around December of 2018. Watch the video around this area. You'll see what the forecast was. The forecast was exactly this: that we're going to come down here and then we're going to push higher. You just have to go into my channel and check those videos. You'll see that that is exactly what we expected. This move that is currently happening is the wave 5. Now, initially, we thought this was going to making a diagonal here as it was going up here. So that diagonal has already been invalidated. So we're looking at the structure differently. This is how we're looking at the structure now. We're looking at this last wave 5 to have started this move with a wave 1 here, with a wave 2 there, and the next wave here in lower degree, wave 1, with the internal one here, wave 1, running flat there, which will be your wave 2. Now we are in the red wave 3 right now. Okay, so it's just a matter of time before we get a wave 4, 3, and a 4, and a 5. Okay, now if this is only the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the lower degree, can you imagine how much of a move to the upside we still have on the S&P 500? We still have quite a significant move to the upside. So now you could get a wave 4 that is sideways like that, and then go up much higher. So this will be a 3, this will be a 4, and only then there's still quite a long way on the S&P 500 to push higher. Now, if you see a correction on the S&P 500, just note that this correction is only the lower degree. It's only the lower degree correction. There's still a bigger move coming on the S&P 500. So this should be very, very clear. Okay. So we're not coming down anytime soon. So keep buying the S&P 500. Make note that this could be a bit of a bigger pullback. So you cannot just buy without being able to hold the correction. So rather wait for the bigger correction to play out so you can get the last wave 5. Then after the wave 5, you can then get the wave 4, and then you're going to get the last big move to the upside. Only then can we expect a bigger correction on the indices. Right, so the structure of this will be this. Let me just go to, we are actually on the 4 hour. So all you need to do here, you just keep buying. That's what I've been saying. Even on the last video, we said this is a corrective structure. Expanding flat, expect a push to the upside. This was a correction, it was an entry. Simple analysis on the indices. You don't do anything else but buy for the next for the next couple of months. Okay, so that is the S&P 500. Let's have a look what the next one is. Okay, so the next one is the Dow. So the Dow is the same as well, same structure. We're looking for a wave 5. It's exactly the same as the S&P 500. Obviously, the Dow, the NASDAQ, and the S&P 500 go with the same structure. So you've got 1 there, you've got 2 there. Let me do it again clearly. It's exactly the same as you can see. You've got 1, you've got 2 in 3 waves, and then you've got the lower degree there in red, 1, and 2 is an irregular flat. I'm calling it irregular, that's what Elliott called it. He didn't call it a running flat. He also didn't call an expanding flat an expanding flat. He called the expanding flat and the running flat just irregular flats. Both of them gave them the same name, irregular. Irregular in the sense that they break the top, but this one does not break the low. The expanding breaks the top, and the does not, breaks the low as well. So the authors, Frost and Prechter, just for ease, they renamed this expanding flat and running flat respectively. Okay, so this is 1, 2. You're looking for 3. You're looking for a 4. Now this 4 should typically be a sharp move because this one was sideways. So with the law of alternation, normally when you've got a sideways move on wave 2, you'll typically have a sharp move in wave 4, and then the last one will be a wave 5. Okay, so this is not a rule or guideline, it's just an observation. Now, if we're talking about alternation already, you can already see that this one is a sharp move. What would you expect of a wave 4 here? Your wave 4 should typically be sideways. And I like sideways moves because they give you time to forecast and to see where the next move is going to be. So this will be a 3, this will be a 4, and then a 5. Okay, so that's what you're looking for on all these indices. Let's now look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ is exactly the same. As you can see, I'm not going to go through the process again. It's exactly the same, guys. You can see the structure. You can see the structure. It's exactly the same. It's 1, it's 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. That's it. So what are you looking for? You're looking for the lower degree wave 4 here. Okay, I'm not going to waste time. It's exactly the same as the S&P 500 and the Dow. Okay, so now the next one, let's look at the UK 100. Now the UK 100, we were looking at this structure here to be making a 3-way move like this. This was a couple of weeks back. We wanted it to do that. Okay, but then instead we got this corrective structure here. This is now looking like a corrective structure here. Let's have a look at this one here. So we've got a move to the upside here. Let's look at the whole structure here. You've got this move. It's the bigger move here. And from there, you get this structure. You've got 1, you've got 2, you're getting this one here. So a bit of a push higher on the UK 100 to complete this move, which will then be a WX there with a running flat or irregular flat, whichever word you want to call it. WXY like that. Now you're going to expect that you're going to have a pattern like this. Eventually, this is not going to be going down. We're still going to be continuing to the upside. So even the UK 100, we are not coming down, guys. We're not coming down as yet. So even if you see this coming down here, this is just completing the structure, which externally will be an AB, your B, which is this complex one here, C structure. Simple as that. So it's going to be your A, your B, and your C here. And this move that you see here, this move that you see there will be this one. See, we still have a long way to go. Now, what are we looking for? Now you're looking for continuation patterns to go to the top there on the UK 100. We're still looking upside. All right, that is the UK 100, the DAX. The DAX, we've made a push to the upside after this corrective structure. This has already broken the top here. We should see continuation to the upside. Breaking the top here has exposed further upside on the DAX. So I don't think this is a reversal. I think it's just going to be a correction and then a push to the upside. So watch the DAX like that. If you look at the overall structure on the DAX, it's very clear. It's a clear ABC structure. You've got an A here, you've got a B here, and your C. Now look at this. Good example of what a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 looks like. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Now, not everything, guys, not everything. I think I've made a bit of a mistake here. Not everything is 3 waves. I see a lot of people who watch my videos and they see a lot of 3 waves in WXY. See, they just label now everything WXY. Now, this is a clear example of you label what you see. My mouse is getting skew here. 1, 2. This cannot be correct. Wave 3 cannot be the smallest of the waves. Let's have a look here. Let's just have a look here quickly. This is not going to be an expanding flat there. Your A is going to be this one here. This may look sharp, but in the lower degree, we're going to have to check it in the lower degree. So this will be your B there. Your structure will be this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you just have to look at this B. It looks sharp, but you find that in the lower degree, this is actually not that sharp. So you're going to have your 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Looks like you've got a diagonal there. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're pushing the last wave 5 here. After that, you should get a correction. Okay. So that is the DAX there. So even if you're buying this move, just make note that this move can just be almost just the same size as that. And then we start the bigger corrective structure. All right, so that is, when I say corrective structure, I'm talking about a correction that is going to correct this whole move. Another 3-way move, then that becomes an even bigger structure. Okay, it's going up in 3 waves, can come down in 3 waves, that corrects everything, and then push higher again. So that is how the DAX is moving for now. No new trade on the DAX there that we see. The Nikkei, gap to the upside, also completing its move here. 1, 2, 3. Now let's check something here on the Nikkei. Let's just try to focus the end of that move. Let's see so the Nikkei currently at 100%, very likely to end at the 1,618 like this. 1, 2, 3. It could reverse here, could reverse there, but for now, let's see. No, we're already here. It's actually a reversal area, but there's a likelihood that if this continues, this move is going to terminate at this point here. That is the 1,618 extension of this. So this move could continue up to that level. As you can see, the indices are on the uptrend here. Let me switch this off. So that move could terminate at that level. You've got 1, 2, 3. This could be a 4, and the last extended wave 5. You also have 5 wave moves here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Also an ABC structure here. Okay, so doesn't matter whether the C is here or here. The strategy or the indicators will tell us whether we've got a continuation to the upside or not. As you can see here, we've already pushed up for the last wave 5. So let's see how that goes there. At this stage, there's no signs of a reversal. I'm expecting continuation to the 1,618. Okay, so that is the Nikkei. Lastly, the Nifty. Nifty, we saw this expanding flat. 1, 2, 3. We said it's going to push higher. That's exactly what is happening. Continuation to the upside with the rest of the indices. Breaking the top here has exposed further upside, guys. So expect further upside. That's why we're expecting much more upside on the indices. Okay, so that's that on the indices and the cryptos. Now let's have a look at the US dollar pairs. Let's look at firstly the euro. Now the euro has made, looks like it's making this corrective structure. So we've made a move to the upside. We've made a move down. Now this move to the downside, guys, is 3 waves. And that is a zigzag. And I'm going to tell you why this is a zigzag. It's a zigzag and it complies with the guidelines. This is a move here. It's an extended zigzag here like that. Okay, so now what we want to understand here, no guys, sorry, this is the wrong pair. So let me show you what we're looking at here. Let me show you the structure and the labeling here. Okay. That's not a zigzag. This is a move here. Now this move coming down here, watch this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is this move? This is a diagonal. This is a diagonal. Let me switch off here so it can be clear. This is a diagonal in wave A. Now you've got a 3-wave move B. Okay, what are we gonna get? What are we looking for? We're looking for a C here. Will this C be in 3 waves or 5 waves? Most likely, if this is a diagonal, this has to come down with an impulse or a diagonal as well. Then this is a clear ABC structure. After that, we will expect the euro to give us this move. Okay, so it's either we're gonna get this move to the downside first before we continue to the upside, or this can actually start a corrective structure going sideways from current levels. We've made a pulse, we've made a move to the upside, but we've made a pulsing move to the downside. But this pulsing move does not mean anything as yet, and the indicators have not shown anything as yet. This can correct and just make it as a 3-wave move like that without having to make this one a flat. Let me make this one a little bit, contract it a little bit, and show the 2 options. 2 options, you're looking for a 3-wave move in the higher degree like this. This is a possibility, right? Now, but there's a possibility that before it goes up, we got this one is a diagonal A, you get your B, come back down first before you get your move to the upside. Like I said in the previous, in the other pair, I'm not focusing 2 different directions. I'm just showing you the types of corrective structures that these can take. So it can either come down for one and go up, or it can just be the structure. Either way, this will be a 3-wave move. Either way, it's a 3-wave move, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, same structure. Only difference is the correction, type of correction that you get here in the middle, that's it. Otherwise, if you're looking for this trade, you can find it here. If you're looking for this one, you will find it here, that's it. All right, so that is euro. So euro, wait for 2 things to happen. They start getting a corrective structure here, we're gonna come take the low here and then go up. If we just continue, we'll find that as well. That is euro, pound US dollar. We already looked at pound US dollar during trade recaps. Pound US dollar still has a long move to the upside. Yes, we did press higher from here with a strong move, and we see the pulsing move back. Does not mean anything at this point. We still want it to push to the upside. Okay, this could just be a correction and then a push to the upside. Now you don't do anything here. I hope you've made your money and exited. You should be withdrawing some money for Christmas now. I've made enough money for the festive season now. No need for me to trade anymore after these moves. Those are really good moves. Okay, so that is pound US dollar. Wait for this to confirm whether we're gonna. So even if you see this happening, guys, and you try to take it to the downside, we don't take it down without the confirmation. So this can be the possibility: a 3-wave move to the downside and a push to the upside. Okay, so now pound, the structure that I showed you during trade setups, this structure here, I showed you this expanding flare. I didn't show you this expanding flare. I showed you how we forecasted the move from here on pound. But if you look at this video from January of this year, let's just scroll up here, let me clear. If you look at this video from January of this year on the pound, what I was analyzing there, so that is the video on that expanding flat that we were looking at in January. If I just play it quickly so you can see what the forecast was. So what I showed you on Slack was the move when it was already here, coming down and then upside. But that was not where it started, guys. It started when US still at the top here in January, and let's just see, that was January. We were forecasting that the move is gonna come down. I've already moved to the next page, so let me just move back. You can go and watch this video yourself. So that is the expanding flat. I'm just struggling to get the right timing. You can watch this video. I will take it on the video on the uploaded video version as well. So you'll see that we focused that this move was going to come down here. Okay, so that is how the pound has eventually played out. Go watch the video. It's from 28 January to 1 February 2019. You can just go to and click on the timestamp on pound US dollar. It will take you straight there. Now, if you click on pound US dollar, it will take you straight there, and you'll see that analysis. There we were focusing that it was going to get to the blue box and it was going to come down. So do yourself a favor, watch that to see how we focus this now. Let's check what's going to happen here. The pullback does not mean anything to me. I showed you last week that the pound was never going to come down anytime soon, and I showed you on the monthly. You can watch last week's video as well. I showed you this. Now what is happening? It's exactly what we said last week. The pound is not going anywhere but upside for the next while. Okay, so that is exactly the structure that we're looking for. Is it going to come here and even break there? But we know that doesn't move in a straight line. So there could be a corrective structure here, and then it goes up there in 3 waves. That's fine. Can even do that. Do that. Doesn't matter. This is a couple of years structure. I mean, up to the next 10 years, you can focus what's going to happen. Okay, so this was another structure here. 1, 2, 3. This was just before Brexit. Just before Brexit, imagine this prior pattern. Now, coming back to fundamentals versus technicals, during Brexit, just before Brexit, some of you were not trading at the time. So just before Brexit, we're seeing this pattern here. 1, 2, 3. We just wanted it to break the top here and then come down. What happened after Brexit? Now, can you say that the chart, the news move price? The chart has already been showing the structure way before the first announcement of Brexit, way back in 2015, okay, in June of 2015. And that is exactly how the market has played out since. This move, some will say it was as a result of Brexit, but look where this moves start. This last piece didn't start there. Around this area, 2008, I was not trading it yet. I don't even know what the news was that was driving this. So it took a couple of months to drop that, but with Brexit, it was very quick as well. So this was the move. 1, 2, 3 wave move to the downside. It was a simple 3 wave. So whether there was going to be Brexit announced at this specific point or not, it was irrelevant because the chart had been building from over 10 years back. So now, would you say fundamentals or technicals? Thing is, with fundamentals, you'll never know until the last moment. But with technicals, you can study this chart historically, and you can focus that, okay, we're gonna have a corrective structure here, possibility of it like that. Now you know my view on fundamentals versus technicals. Let's run through the rest. So that is pound US dollar. Let's run through US dollar CAD. US dollar CAD, let's go back to the lower degree now. 4 hour. Looking at the 4 hour. So US dollar CAD last week, we thought it was going to make a bounce here, back here, do this. Possibly make this structure here. Looks like we're getting a corrective structure here. So it looks like we're just going to have 1, 2, and the 3 to the downside. So wait to see what's going to happen with this structure here. If you get a corrective structure, you're going to get a move to the downside. That will not be a good risk to reward ratio trade. So rather stay away from that. So that is US dollar CAD, US dollar CHF. Now US dollar CHF playing out exactly as we mentioned. Remember, we said that this was going to drop definitely from the top here, then there has now dropped. It was correcting around this line. We said it was going to make one more down and then reverse. I even showed you that there's a possibility that this will make a V pattern way before this started happening. Now the V pattern is showing you that you are going to start making a reversal, and that V pattern will most likely be coming with divergence. As you can see, it's one of the guidelines that we use for V pattern. It must come with divergence. As you can see, new low here, new lower low, new lower high. Okay, so what we'll be expecting is at least a pullback after this pattern here. Okay, why are we looking for the pullback? Because we've got this structure in there. We're looking for this structure. It's a three-way move to the downside. You've got this one. It's a three-way move. 1, 2, 3. Now you're looking for this one here. And then upside. Okay, upside coming with a V pattern. It's a trend reversal pattern. It is not an Elliott wave pattern. We just like to call it a V pattern for ease of explanation. There's a clear Elliott wave pattern that you find within the V pattern. Okay, and it's also not named again after me. This is Audi US dollar. Audi US dollar. Now you'll be looking for this to come take the low here. Let's show the labelings here. So much clutter on the chart, so let me remove everything. So Audi US dollar, just like euro, you could be looking for this one to come take the low here, because you've got a move 1, 2, 3 move to the downside, 1, 2, 3 way move to the upside here. We did say that this was going to break the top and come down, and that is exactly what has happened. So it's broken the top and now it's coming down. Are we going to get a correction and take the low here and make this structure? So then it's going to be a three-way move up, a three-way move back, something like this. 1, 2, and a 3. Okay, for now we're looking for this. Okay, so that is Audi. New Zealand has not made a bigger move like the Audi, like that. Just a smaller move, and this may still does not look ready to push down. It may do this first before coming down. So let's watch. Whatever move will be coming here will not necessarily be the reversal, not at all. It will just be a deeper pullback possibly. Okay, so let's just watch this one. Not a clear structure on New Zealand. It has just made a bigger. It has already made a bigger move, which I did not trade. I did not trade this move here because I was expecting this. I was expecting this pattern here on New Zealand, which meant that I missed all of this. It doesn't matter. You don't get all of them right. I actually had a trade set up here on New Zealand, looking for it to have made this structure and expecting it to push lower like that. But that did not trigger, and as a result, it made this structure. Okay, so that happens. That is a New Zealand US dollar ZAR. US dollar ZAR. We said it was going to reverse at the break of this. It has not shown clear signs of reversal. Will it reverse? You've got to move. If you've made a pulse move to the upside, we just have to wait for the confirmation from the strategy that this is going to reverse, because there's also a possibility for this to continue lower like that. But for now, we've made a nice pulsing move. Wait for a corrective structure for this to take the top here and make this 1, 2, 3. Right, running through the yen pairs, we've already looked at pound, US dollar. So these reversal moves don't really mean anything until you get confirmation for them to come down. I'm not expecting it to come down. Let's look at the daily on pound yen and show you why we expected pound to keep pushing higher. Now, when we were here, I remember I think it was last year, when this move was starting, before the move started, I was expecting pound to do this. This is a three-way move with a running flat there and a move there. And I was even forecasting that pound was going to go to 156. Some of you remember, we were forecasting pound to go to 156 last year from here. That did not happen, and we've made this move. Okay, so we can still see the structure has not changed. Yes, we didn't focus correctly here, but it doesn't mean that the structure has changed. Let's just show you the structure that we're looking for. The structure is A there, B there, and a diagonal there. I'll show you the clear labeling after this. Now, how has this structure changed? It has made a bigger running flat like this. One, you see the running flat there? Just made a three-way move in a higher degree structure. Is it still the same structure that I was expecting when I was here? Is it still the same thing? Still exactly the same thing. Okay, it's just that at this point, I was only looking at this as a running flat, but it made a bigger structure. Okay, it made a bigger structure. You can even make a case of, you can even look at this like this. If you wanted to be specific and accurate here, obviously I don't use the fibs and all that here during the webinars. You can look at this as a diagonal here. You can look at this as a diagonal. Now, if this is a diagonal, that means this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, a diagonal makes much more sense than anything here. 4 and a 5. Now, if that is your diagonal, then that means this is your A. And if this is your A, that means this is your B. If you've got an A there, you've got your B there. Your C is 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Every rule is complied with, and that is why you have got here in the higher degree on the yellow, A, B, no, not like that. This is going to be W. And this whole thing will be your X. If this is going to be your Y, this one is going to have to give you a deeper correction that is similar in size as this one. Okay, like that. Otherwise, if it just makes an impulse, this is because this becomes an ABC structure. Okay. If this just goes as an impulse like this and makes a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, extended for a 5, then this becomes an ABC structure. Now look at the labeling on this. There are some. So that is your diagonal there. I'll take that out. So that will be your diagonal A, B, and the C there. Okay, so that is why we've been expecting pound to push to the upside. We started here looking at this as a running flat. Okay, now it has made a clearer structure. That's why we've been trading pound. Even last week, Thursday, 400 quick pips that are never expected to happen so quick. But when it happens like that, you take it. So this move is not a reversal, guys. This can start a corrective structure. It can still push higher in the next week. So no, doesn't seem like any reversal yet. Remember what I said about the cycle? If the cycle is here and it's supposed to come down, it will come down. There's nothing that's going to change the cycle to complete. Okay, and if you know which cycle you're in, if this is a sine wave, then it's going to be like that. Now, if you're here on this, if the cycle is here and instead of going down and it does this, that means the cycle that you're looking at is different. Now you'll be looking at this cycle, a cycle of this kind of cycle. So you could have analyzed the cycle incorrectly. So the cycle must be consistent all the time. It repeats itself indefinitely. In this case, we've got the right cycle. We know it's going to the upside. That is pound yen, pound US dollar. Pound US dollar, we said, like I said last week, all the yen pairs, expect them to push higher. I specifically said it does not matter what the structure looks like, just expect upside on the yen pairs. And that is, we were here. Typically, after the pulsing move here, with the yen pairs, we would have expected that this would be a corrective structure and we're going to come down because this is a diagonal. Let's show the diagonal there. This was our diagonal, and last week we were here. We were here last week, and typically those who just trade pulse and the correction and the pulse would have expected that this was going to correct and come down. So what happened? It pushed up higher. Why did it push up higher? Correlation. Did we pick it up? Absolutely. All right, so that was a pound US dollar. Now it has tagged the top here. Take this top. Let's see whether it was to make this structure here. 1, 2, the 1,618. We can get this one to come down here and then continue higher. So if this comes down higher, it will change our view on the gold setup because this coming down means gold will push slightly higher before coming down. Okay, so let's watch and see. We'll compare the two as they happen. Watch for a corrective structure here on the 1 hour to see if you're getting that move. Euro also coming down. Could this be making an expanding flat like this? Let's have a look. We'll see all of that where the market opens. this could be making an expanding flat, like Euro US dollar to come back here, or even a running flat come back down here and push higher. You just have to wait for this to set up here. CHF, the same, has pushed back. Are we gonna see continuation, or we're gonna see further upside? So you just have to wait for this to correct for a move to the downside. Even if this is a correction, you should get one move to the downside first. We'll update this in the next week. I think next week will be our last webinar of the year. Then we'll resume again on the 5th of January or the 13th of January. Okay, right, so that is Audi yen. You can see the yen pairs, we forecasted all of them to push higher. Now this one has broken the top. We're coming down, wait for a corrective structure. This correction, even if it does this and push higher, that's fine, but we'll confirm with this. For now, you're gonna have this one move to the downside. Same case with all the yen pairs. New Zealand, not a bigger move there. Wait for that. The trend is still up on the yen pairs, so we'll keep an eye on that. CAD, all of them made the same moves. We looked at all of these during trade setups. Now CAD, we were looking at it like this. It's a three-way move to the downside. It's a 1, 2, 3 move to the upside. Actually wanted it to take the top there before coming down. That's not possible anymore because this could be doing that unless we get this, break the top and then come down. Basically, the structure that you're looking for on CAD is this one: the 3 down, the 3 up, and then the down. So if it reverses at current levels, it may break lower here a bit, but we need to get confirmation that this move has ended. Now, if we're looking at this here, it will be 1, 2, 3 in the lower degree, 1, 2, running flat there, 3 in the lower degree, that's your running flat there. Just like that, now you're looking for this one to start coming down with this move. That is CAD, silver, and gold. So silver, the structure that we're looking for silver to start continuing to the blue box from here, but instead has made this 3-wave pullback here. It's made a 3-wave correction and it's coming up here like this. And if it's doing this, it's not changing the structure, it's just making a simple 1, 2, 3-wave move, and we'll still expect downside on silver. Okay, so even if it reverses here, it will have made a running flat. If this starts coming down here, you can pick it up and then take it down, because that will be now your running flat. Okay, so this here is not very clear. This is not very clear. Let's get the yellow color again. So here you've got a pulsing move down, correction here. I'm going to continue pushing higher first before coming down. It's very likely that they can push it higher first before dropping it and make this expanding flat. So keep an eye. Also, this is also possible. That is silver, gold. You can also predict the structure there. So gold has already started the move down as well. So we've got a move there. You've got this as a running flat there and a move to the upside. Now gold has already done this. Is this going to be the correction that is going to take us all the way down to the blue box? Okay, we took it here last time, came down but did not go all the way like we expected, but just like we said last week, it just does not move in a straight line. By the time you give up on this, that's when it drops. So just keep watching it, it will eventually drop. Okay, so that is silver and gold. Let's run through the pound pairs. Pound pairs, I'm not going to run through again. You already saw this during trade setup, so I'm looking for continuation to the upside. Even if this is like this, I'm just expecting corrective structures and continuation to the upside. That is for all the pound pairs. Pound Audi. Here's pound Audi. Pound Audi, as you can see, is still looking very strong there. This is only a corrective structure. We're still expecting further upside on pound Audi. Okay, so that is pound Audi. Pound New Zealand. Pound New Zealand has made quite a deeper move to the downside. So with pound New Zealand, we've got this move here in 3 waves up to this point. No, not up to that point. The move on pound New Zealand was up to here, and we started with this. Let's use a different color. 1, expanding flat, and then this move. So this could be a three-wave move. If it's a three-wave move, you could get another three-wave move like that before pushing higher. Whereas if you look at the follow the purple, you'll see that we had a move, three-wave move here as well. 3 down, 3 up, and 3 down. So making this as a WXY structure in the purple degree, A, B, C structure in this degree, and then you'll be expecting another three-wave structure there. Now, if that is the case, your structure will look something like this. W, X, and the Y. Then continuation to the upside. So wait for a three-wave move coming down here. You start getting that here. That's pound New Zealand, pound CAD. As you can see, pound CAD also picked it up just before the news. We would have known that it was the news was gonna result in this pushing higher. Some would have been caught here selling if you did not understand the wave theory. So now we've got a pullback here. Let's see if this is just gonna be a move here, correction, and a move there, something like this, before continuing to the upside. Okay, so that is pound CAD, euro pound. Naturally, you would expect euro pound to drop with the pound pairs. You got the corrective structure. Look at that corrective structure. It was clear as well that this was going to break lower even before the news event. Now we've made a move to the downside. We're just going to get this like the pound pairs. By pound pairs, I mean the ones that are the bases in their pairs. Where pound is a base pair, this one in this case pound is a quoted pair. So this one could just be making another corrective structure and continue lower. Okay, so that is euro pound. Now let's look at the euro pairs. Looking at the euro pairs, that move was to be expected. I actually expected it to just break here and come lower, but it made an expanding flat there. Okay, so now we're coming down with this move. Let me just draw this one clearly so you can see where we're going with this. Let's look at the higher degree structure. Now looking at the higher degree structure on this one here, we're looking at this to have made a three-wave move to the upside, a three-wave move back, and expecting this to make another three-wave move to the upside. Now let's follow the lower degree. I said last week that, what did I say last week? Last week I said, look out for this. There was this deep correction that you don't see clearly here. This is deep, and it's a three-wave move. I also said the same thing here when this was coming up here. I said, watch out, this has come down deep, but this has also come down deep. So you should expect that this may continue to the upside. Now, this was a zigzag correction. Now, this is an expanding flat correction on this part. So it can do that, three waves, and still push to the upside. So basically what you would have here is a single degree here. It's a single degree like this. Okay, now if you've got that, you've got these three waves, you've got these three waves here in the middle. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that will be your W, X, and the Y. So this one is coming down, but can still push higher like that with the structure. Right, that is EUROCHF. Now, last week also on EUROCHF, I gave you a very nice, simple trade. I said, take it at market open. Even called it Christmas present on the video last week. Those of you who watched it and looked at the timestamps, thank you, Mike, for putting that one up. I said, watch out for this one. It's a free Christmas gift because it had confirmed it has given us all the confirmations. It had given us all the confirmations. Where's the channel here? My channel. I'm looking for the timestamps. So the timestamps, watch out for timestamps. Sometimes we put up comments here, but I did say this one during the webinar. If you look at this one, Mike is the one who does the timestamps for us. Thank you, Mike. He put it as a Christmas present, very creative. So we got that move on EUROCHF. This was the move. We were here when that move happened. Here, which meant you no, here, I said buy, sell at market open. So you should have gotten all of that move. Very nice move back to test the low there. If you missed this, just watch how this one would have played out. Simple 50 pips. Simple 50 pips there with a very good risk to reward ratio. Okay, so that is our EUROCHF. Let's look at the rest. Euro New Zealand. Now, Euro New Zealand, still expecting further downside. This is correcting here. It may do this, take the low here, push to the upside and make this corrective structure and continue lower. In the higher degree, we don't have time to go through the higher degree. We can look at that in the next webinar. In the higher degree, this still has a long way to go to the downside. That is Euro New Zealand. Okay, let's run through the rest of the yen pairs. Not the yen pairs, euro pairs. Let's switch this off. So I just wanted to show you why we still have a long way down to on Euro New Zealand. You can watch last week's video. I've detailed why we're still expecting further downside on the Euro New Zealand. Now Euro AUD should continue lower to come take the low here, at least. If there's a possibility we make this structure like this, and that structure will result in this one coming down. Let me just remove all this so you can see only the structure. Now if you look at that structure, let's mark it with a different color so you can see what we're looking at. So you're looking at the lower degree structure here, regular flat, and a higher degree zigzag there, and a higher degree in purple. 1, 2, 3, just like that. So you're looking for this to come down here, like that. That is Euro AUD, EUROCAD. EUROCAD, we're just waiting for this to drop here. Could this be your X here, coming down here? You've got to move to the upside. This is a 1, 2, 3 here, expecting that the 3 will be the last move, the move here that comes down and makes this one here before coming down. Eventually, this will be a corrective structure that you're looking for. All right, so that is EuroCAD. Let's run through some of the cross pairs. Now, looking at the daily AUDJPY, last week, I said expect this one to have made this corrective structure and then come down like that. Because you've got a move here, you've got a correction, needed to expect it. So it's coming down here. This on the daily, so in the lower time frame, you can start looking for corrective structures in the 1 on the 4 hour to come to at least come and make this, take this low here. So it was a very clear structure. AUD New Zealand. Let's look at AUD New Zealand. AUD New Zealand was a simple pullback. We're still going to continue lower. There was a pullback. So this pullback can do that, can be a regular flat and continue lower. But the trend is still very much down on AUD New Zealand. Let's check the 4 hour on AUD New Zealand. Now, AUD New Zealand on the 4 hour, as you can see, it's coming down. We can start making a corrective structure here, take the low here, come back up, and then continue lower, making this structure here, which can be an ABC structure before coming down. That is AUD New Zealand CAD. Not very clear, but we can see that you've got this, you've got that here. It can do that, up, down, up, before continuing lower. Okay, you can take a screenshot of this and try to follow this. So the next move, you're expecting this one to come down incorrectively and then impulse back up here and then a move here. All of these are just making an ABC structure in the higher degree. Okay, that is CADJPY, AUDCAD. AUDCAD simple, you're just waiting to complete the structure. 1, 2, 3. Possibility that it makes a running flat and continue from here, but you're not just gonna go and buy it because you're thinking of running flat, you're going to wait for confirmation. So correction and continuation at least back to this level, then you can have something like this. 1, 2, 3. Okay. That's Audi CAD. New Zealand CAD still pushing higher. Now, New Zealand CAD, we've got a much bigger move to the upside now. To ride this trend to the upside, you need a daily correction that corrects this whole move. So when that daily correction comes, whether it's going to be a regular expanding flat or any of the corrective structures, that is where you should be riding this trend, because this has got over 1,000 pips to the upside. So wait for a deeper corrective structure. It's going to come. Right, and New Zealand, the same. You need a deeper corrective structure there. You need a deeper corrective structure on New Zealand CHF. Loading a bit slow. I'll skip through New Zealand CHF. Let's go straight to oil. Oil, we are still looking at this as a corrective structure. I've updated my labeling. I've adjusted my labeling on this one, so you can see there. It's a W, it's an X, it's a Y, it's an X, and the last move is a Y. Now, when you label something XY 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you must be able to confirm that the lower degree talks to that as well. Now, let's look at the lower degrees on this one. You've got a W in 3 waves, 1, 2, 3. You've got an X in 3 waves. You've got a Y in 3 waves, 1, 2, 3. You've got this X in 3 waves, zigzag, 1, 2, 3. Now your Z is 1, is 2. We should be dropping from here. W, X, Y, X, Z. We should be dropping from here, and I'm sure if we check now in the RSI, we should be seeing divergence. I'll be expecting oil to start dropping from those levels. Let's have a look and see if oil is going to drop from there on the divergence. Do we have divergence? We don't really have divergence. So we may still be making another move to the upside. There's no confirmation for downside. Structurally, yes, we may be making in case of 11 swing sequence, but as far as the indicators that we use are concerned, there's no confirmation of downside as yet. Okay, we don't have divergence here on the RSI. Okay, so the RSI and the price are still doing the same thing. So no confirmation of downside yet. So even if we do come down, we may come down with the structure and then upside like that. All right, that is oil. And that's it all for this week, guys. For those that are really interested in New Zealand CHF, we can just look at it quickly. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the videos and share the videos. Next time you get, if you can also click for the alarm bell so you can get a notification next time I post the video. Have a great week. We'll see you for the last time in the next week. As I said, the next course is only next year. And if you're interested in learning over the holidays, you can buy the recorded version of the course. Have a great week, guys. See you next week. Bye-bye.